like there were a lot of like different things that didn't add up to me, and that's me. You know what I mean? Like sometimes things I am blonde to the core, and sometimes I'm just a little bit ditzy, and sometimes I just don't get things. Hey there, my name is Emily Good, and I read a new release, and I never ever do that, so I want to tell you about what I thought about it. I finished Mr. Magic by Kiersten White, and I'm going to tell you about it. So, Mr. Magic, if you don't know, the book is a. So, this Mr. Magic show ended 30 years ago. It was a very long running show, but it finally ended in the 90s. There's conspiracy theories around why it ended, what people think that they saw that led it to, and they're thinking that maybe there's a death or something like that. Whatever it is, we're not going to know about it because you can't find anything on the show. There's only the 5 surviving cast members who have done their best basically to move on from the show. And they're called the Circle of Friends. There's 5 of them. I can't remember if I said that just now. And yeah, again, they've kind of done their best to move on from it. So, but a stroke of something summons them back together again. So they want to do the powers that be want to do like a little reunion podcast type of thing. So they want all the cast members. They finally located all the cast members, and they are bringing them back together again to this creepy house in the desert in Idaho, I think it is, where these characters have been summoned back to do this like reunion podcast. So here we are. We're all back in this creepy house, and there's a podcast going on down in the basement. All the cast members aren't allowed to go together. They're not allowed to talk about like what they remember of the show. Some of them don't remember things, and some of them are saying that they don't remember things, but you don't actually know if they remember things or not. And the podcast is taking place down in the basement, and only one cast member is allowed to go down at a time. So it's kind of like, obviously something sinister is going on. Like there's a lot of different like mysteries happening. You don't really know like who to trust. You don't know how the people found the last remaining cast member who they've been looking for forever, who kind of people blame for ending the show. So you kind of don't really know, like, you don't know a lot of things. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of things that you don't know. Okay, so yeah, so all the cast members are there. They all do the weird, creepy podcast while questions are being answered. Because again, so nowadays with a show, with any children's show, like you can pretty much get on YouTube and watch like reruns of it. You can see like news articles. Like if you want to find information on something, on a show that's been out in our lifetime, you can pretty much find it. Mr. Magic is different. You can't find, there's no reruns, there's no newspaper articles, there's nothing definitive that says like, yes, this show existed, other than the adults now who watched and loved the show, because kids loved this show. They would just watch it. They would feel like the circle of friends was actually their friends, and they could just sit and watch it. They learned a lot from the show. It was like one of those shows. It was like a children's show where you're actually watching these kids playing. You're watching them use their imaginations, and you're listening to these songs that they sing. And a lot of these songs that they're singing are teaching kids how to act. So it's kind of sinister in that way, and there were different nuances in it where like the adults who were the kids in the show now are like, oh wow, they like were really controlling us. We thought we were having a good time, but like one of them was like the bad boy who's constantly being like reprimanded. Like you're not allowed to be bad. You have to smile at all times. There's no like they don't have any patience. The powers that be, whoever's in charge of the show, they don't want the kids like misbehaving. They absolutely no cursing, absolutely no like getting too wild, like none of that. So it was interesting to watch these adults who are part of this children's show. Hello. And one of the things that, one of the like mysteries of it was like, who was Mr. Magic? He was this, I don't really understand. He was like this being, sort of. He was like this darkness that kind of like reined the kids in theory. So like Mr. Magic was kind of not the host. He never spoke. I'm pretty sure he never spoke. Okay, so yeah, so that's what the book is about. At the end of the book, before reading the author's note, I wanted to rate the book a 3. A 2 or a 3, to be honest with you. And I say that because it was enjoyable to read. There were definitely aspects that I liked. I have a whole bunch of notes in my phone, actually, which I'm actually filming on. There were things that I really, really liked about the show. I keep calling it the show, about the book that I really liked. I really enjoyed the forums. Like at the end of each chapter, like you were either reading an email, you were reading like a Reddit forum kind of about people talking about the show. There were just like little pieces of information that you were getting. And that was that. I liked that. I liked that. I enjoyed the people's friendship, like the circle of friends friendship. I enjoyed seeing them all come together again. There were things that I enjoyed, and I do feel like some people will really, really enjoy this book. For me, I enjoyed the reading experience, sort of. And I say sort of because there were a lot of things from the book that like weren't answered for me. And sometimes things go over my head. So I don't know if I missed things, but it felt like there were a lot of loose ends to me. Like there were things that I was still like, well, wait, I still don't understand. Like I didn't understand like the magic system. I didn't understand what summoned Mr. Magic. I didn't understand, like, if he was evil or who was evil in this whole thing. I didn't understand, like, who was bad. I didn't understand the why, really. I didn't really understand it. So I ended the book feeling kind of, like, frustrated, I guess. Like, I felt kind of like, what? Like, how did that just end? I don't really understand. But then, I read the author's note, which I kind of wish would have been at the beginning of the book, because it made me like be like, oh, okay, I understand the why, kind of. Like I kind of understand like what the point was, I guess. And that's where it makes me feel kind of guilty. So I just reread the author's note again, just before making this. And she calls this book a deeply personal book. So let me tell you about it, okay? Because I do want to kind of talk about this. So the author, Kiersten White, grew up Mormon. And she's not Mormon anymore. She left. She and her family, her husband, left the religion. I'm going to tell you, I don't know anything about Mormonism. All I know is like what she's kind of saying her experience was. So I'll read you something that she says. My ancestors traversed oceans, walked across countries, endured the abuse of polygamy, and accepted losing their families, all in the name of faith. That spoke to me. I feel like more and more, like, I feel like so much bad happens in the name of faith. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I didn't understand like what the point was until I read the author's note and her saying like that a lot of different like abuse happened in the name of faith. And I've been seeing that a lot lately, I feel like. I don't regularly go to church. I wouldn't call myself religious. I'm not knocking religion. I know people who religion does a lot of things for. They get a lot of magic from their faith, and I respect that for sure. But I just wanted to read you a few different things from this because for me, like, I wish that I would have read this before I read the book. Because, and then, like, so she says that this is, like, a deeply personal book to her. This was kind of her talking about her experience with Mormonism while making it fictional. She, like, turned it into this, like, show that teaches you to be good and, how to act and, like, that these kids, like, they're always making mistakes. They can't ever do anything right. Okay, so the last two sentences of her acknowledgement were important, and I just wanted to read them to you. She says, and finally, to those in any religion or community telling you that who you are will never be good, / will never be pure, / will never be good, be enough in the eyes of the God that they made in their own petty, bigoted images, fuck that. The new Mr. Magic believes in you, and so do I. So reading that made me understand more like the story behind it. It kind of, I think that I would have gotten so much more out of the book and would have gone into it with a more grace, maybe. I don't want to say grace, but like more of an open like concept. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I feel like I would have been there more and been like, okay, this is just what's happening right now. Versus reading the book and then reading the author's note, because I can't go back to like how I felt about the book while I was reading it. Like a lot of it just didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand the magic system really. I didn't really. There were a lot of like different things that didn't add up to me, and that's me. You know what I mean? Like sometimes things. I am blonde to the core, and sometimes I'm just a little bit ditzy, and sometimes I just don't get things. So that could very well be what happened here. So I would really love to know. Have you read this yet? It just got released in August, so it's still brand new. I'm excited to hear what my new friend, Michaela, thinks of this book. I did want to do like a booktube shout out. Is her name Michaela Reads on here? I will link her channel down below. If you have not seen her stuff, I love to hear her talking about books. I've really enjoyed conversing with her. And she actually picked this up at the same time that I did. So I'm excited to hear like how she's doing with it and what she's thinking about it. But for me, I was confused as shit. So, but I didn't want to look at anybody else's opinions. I'm very easily swayed. I'm very easily like, oh, okay, I didn't think of it like that. Like, okay, well, maybe I liked it better then. I'm going to give the book a 4 because of the author's note. So the reading experience was like, okay, it was kind of confusing. I didn't really understand, but that could just be me. Things just didn't feel totally tied up at the end. But the author's note and reading her experience, when I like an author's story, it makes me like the book more. I like to like people. I like to support. So I feel bad about anything negative I've said about the book. But, that was just kind of my experience with it. I'm going to give the book a 4, though, because I do recommend people read it. And because I want to know what you thought. Did you understand? Am I just kind of silly? Was everything tied up at the end and it was just me who didn't get it? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. But I had questions, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to just allow myself to have questions and not understand every single thing. So thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you've read Mr. Magic, or if you plan to. Do you plan to? I'm starting to get into picking up some spookier books. Actually, some new releases I've got coming to the library. So I'm excited right now. I'm excited about things. I'm excited about life. I'm excited to hear what you thought of Mr. Magic if you read it. So thanks so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.